it's Dmitry. Today let's talk about daggers. Cool shape, nice look, but we often get questions about how to sharpen them. The answer is pretty simple. Sharpen them just like any other regular knife, but the next question always how to properly position them. Because if we will try to lock them like a regular knife that has a flat section that allows to properly fix it inside the clamps, well, when we come to this shape, it simply squeezes out of the clamps because of these two huge bevels. And today we are going to show you how it's done. We will consider this knife. It's a Dagger Arrow, to my opinion a very cool model from a cool manufacturer. It's affordable, it's serially produced, but it has several features that we will consider right now. We have this knife straight from the factory. And as you may see, it has this flat section that will allow us to clamp it properly. Here we will position a second clamp that will stabilize the blade and lock it in position. As you may see, it has a very narrow bevel, and we don't know which angle of sharpening the knife has, but we may see that here in this section the blade has a part that might be damaged. If we will choose the angle of sharpening on our own, because we don't have a grinder, with our system the stone might leave some scratches here. That's why we will protect this section with masking tape. And we will use the marker to get into the factory angle. To sharpen this knife, we selected the following equipment. We will use Cadet sharpening system. We will use the marker. Of course, we will need the digital angle finder X-Cube. We chose to use our diamond plates with aluminum oxide. And this is it. Let's begin. Let's begin with proper positioning of the knife. First of all, we will try to position the blade in a way that the cutting edge would be parallel to the frame with the clamps. Secondly, we need to protect this part from the abrasive stone, and we will hold it with the clamps in a way that the heel would be as far from the axis of rotation as possible, but still we need to position a knife to provide a sufficient clamping force to hold it steadily. That's why we will not move the flat section of the knife away from the first clamp. An additional protection of the heel would not be excessive. That's why I will apply two small pieces of masking tape here. It will not save us if we will scratch it, but I hope this measure would not be too excessive. Now let's apply a marker and see if we are getting into the bevel of the factory angle. We will check it with the finest stone from the set. Despite a very small width of the bevel, I can see that we are not reaching the cutting edge. So we are scratching the top border of the bevel. And to protect the shape and how the knife looks, we are going to increase the angle. This will allow us to keep the same width of the bevel on both sides. Once we reach the bevel as we want it, let's measure the angle. To do that, let's use X-Cube. Now let's set it to 0. So as you may see, the angle of factory sharpening is 27.6 per side, which gives us about 55 degrees total. Since the knife hasn't been in use, we will not need extra coarse or coarse stone. We will begin with the medium one. We have these stones also straight from the factory, and we will not need to compensate the difference in their thickness because they are all the same. Now let's start. I know that you won't see it on the screen, but I am not applying any pressure when I am moving the abrasive stone. Another small tip that I want to remind you is that I'm holding my finger here to prevent the stone falling down from the edge and leaving the scratch on the working surface. And also I have to be extra careful when I'm processing the metal near the heel, because I want to keep the knife good as new. Otherwise, if I will hurry up, well, I will damage it for sure. Leaving scratches here. Our masking tape, well, for me it's just an additional mark that I'm trying to protect this part from any scratches. So now, after this stone, we have a burr from heel to the tip. Yes. Now it's time to switch to a fine stone around 600 grit. What can I add? When you work with a knife that has this dagger shape of the blade, never hurry up, because normally the tip of the knife is very, very thin, very easy to bend or damage the top border of the bevel. And dagger, well, you know, it should be beautiful and sharp. We don't need any scratches. That's why we are working very slowly and very carefully, because we wanted not just a good cutting tool, but also excellent piercing characteristics. Now we are taking a very fine stone. This would be the last one here. Of course, when you work with aluminum oxide, you will not reach a mirror finish, but still I'm sure that the knife will be sharp enough to have a very clean cut. And when we are making this finish, we are trying to keep the angle of the mark from the abrasive stone around 35 degrees. A brief reminder, of course all of you know about the burr and about that we are never forgetting to remove it. The last hint I'm going to give you about the dagger-shaped knife is that there is always an option to disassemble a handle, because the blade has a flat section which allows us to clamp the blade properly, which is hidden under this handle. After the professional sharpening, knife cuts and pierces much better than straight from the factory. That's why I will keep recommending this to all of you. Well, I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to press like, subscribe to our channel, share your stories and comments about your experience with dagger-shaped knives, and I hope to see you soon in our next videos. Goodbye.